on in the city, because I go to bed early. So shout out to the Sixers for winning. But so I saw something yesterday that really had me thinking a little different today.
Really?
Yeah, man.
On what subject, Hugh?
Ooh, man, and today was the first day that I felt strongly that A.J. Brown might not be.
Wow. You know what?
I mean,
ladies and gentlemen, the last horse crosses the finish line here. Hugh Douglas finally seeing the light the rest of us see. Now, what made you think that way?
It's not seeing the light, Joe. It's more so of what I listen to everything that's being said, and sometimes I process it. Some say I overprocess things. But I felt like Howie's tone changed a little bit when it came to AJ. Now, he didn't change his messaging, but it was the delivery for me that piqued my interest. And this was the first time that I actually felt like, hey, he might
be out of here?
Yeah, he might be out of here.
All right, let's have the conversation. 215-592-9494. We've talked a lot the last, I'd say, month or so about whether or not we want AJ to be out, whether we would trade him, whether you would trade him, whether we would, it's time to move on, not time to move on. But we really haven't had the conversation so much about what we actually think is going to happen. So Combine started yesterday. Howie and Nick spoke on Friday, right, to the media, and those were no audio. It was just the quotes we saw yesterday. And Elliot had them, and all the reporters had them. And in those quotes, Howie Roseman did say, we're always listening, and we're always kind of open. There's very few things that I would shoot down without even hearing what that means, because how does it hurt to listen? Nick Sirianni, when speaking about it, said he couldn't guarantee anything, which that quote flew everywhere about A.J. Brown. And Hugh, yesterday, the Combine, they're out there, they spoke. So Howie Roseman spoke, Nick Sirianni spoke at the podium. They didn't have, to me, that wasn't really juicy, because first of all, you couldn't even hear the questions. And then two, they had already addressed the big stuff. But to what you were saying, Hugh, both the coach and the quarterback started popping around on different shows. I've noticed the Combine has almost become like the Super Bowl, like Media Row, where all the shows are out there, right? The national shows. So Howie Roseman yesterday with Rich Eisen on ESPN, this is what caught Hugh Douglas' attention, the tone that Howie had. Here it was.
Well, I think I've been really consistent in talking about how hard it is to find great players, and AJ's been a great player for us. Not a good player, a great player for us. He does have tremendous character, and so I think from our perspective, we're looking to add to our roster. We're not looking to subtract. And so, I've been really consistent in saying that.
Hugh, what caught you?
The fact that he was telling us that he had remained consistent. I mean, I've never heard him use that wording. The wording was a little strange for me. It was like, this is the message that I have to tell people.
Almost like a premeditated, we came up with this, let's just keep repeating it over and over.
And it was in stark contrast to what Nick Sirianni said. Now, I have a lot of love for Nick Sirianni, but let's be honest. He is not. Sometimes he doesn't say. He's not as word savvy as Howie. Let's just say that he's not as word savvy, and that's okay because I'm not that word savvy at times. But it feels like they're listening to what's being said about him, or they're listening to offers for AJ. So it's that. It was that. Yesterday it was just like, oh wow. It feels like they're trying to figure some things out when it comes to that. So, yeah, that was the first time I felt like that.
Yeah, the gut feeling. Hugh's gut feeling has changed. We're ready to come down. 215-592-9494. A.J. Brown. We've been discussing this for, since the season ended on whether or not we want him back. We are now getting really close to the start of the new league year. What's your gut feeling on this? Will A.J. Brown be on the Eagles next year? My gut feeling hasn't changed on this, and Hugh is now seeing some light here, joining me in this train that he's out of here. I think the Eagles are telling us in so many words they're going to move on. And Hugh, I think it's interesting the word you picked out, the consistent word, because Howie said he's remaining consistent. And I feel similarly that this is just messaging. This isn't real. This is just what they're saying so they could drum up a market. And it's good on Howie Roseman to do that. But the more we hear him, the more we could pick up on things. Meanwhile, you have the head coach who's all over the place, right? I mean, anytime they put Nick in front of a mic, you don't know what you're getting. So last week he says, I can't guarantee anything. Yesterday, obviously trying to do some damage control. They were like, Nick, take back what you said. So here's Nick Sirianni yesterday discussing the A.J. Brown relationship.
Yeah, because I think when you look at the rest of the comments, like, I can't guarantee I'm going to be here tomorrow or be here in this building. So at the end of the day, all seriousness, at the end of the day, I love A.J. Brown. I love the player. I love the person. I love the teammate. And when you get asked a question where it's yes or no, it's like, hey, listen, I can't guarantee anything, but at the end of the day, I love the man, and I love the relationship that we have, all the things that he's done, all the ups and downs that we've had throughout. Man, good player, good teammate, great person.
Here's what I know. Here's what I've reported is that he recently has been in a great headspace, and there's been great communication with the team and him. Do you agree to that? I mean, do you believe that all this communication so far has been good?
Yeah, my expectation is that he wants to be here, and we want him here. And man, again, like I said, Howie said this in an interview not too long ago. It's like it's hard to get good players. We want as many good players as we possibly can have on the team, especially a guy who's a teammate and a person like AJ is.
All right, so there was Sirianni yesterday trying to put some cold water on the fire he started a couple days ago by saying, well, I can't guarantee he's going to be here. I think he's gone. I think the Eagles have reached the point where the combination of his play, his salary, his demeanor, and the fact that it doesn't feel like he's wanted to be here or he's truly happy here, I think we're just reaching a point where this week is the week they're going to start listening to offers. Hugh, this is when everyone gets in the room, right? This is when all the GMs, all the executives...
Everybody talking, they have the drinks are flowing at the bar, everybody's hanging out, and you're having these candid conversations. And another thing that really jumped out to me, a lot of times when we see Howie at the podium, he's very protective of the way that he speaks. He was still protective, but he was a little bit more relaxed in the conversation. And that's the thing that jumped out. I feel like I do know him. I feel like I know him pretty well to know when, some things are going on. And it just felt like yesterday, I should say, that the messaging changed slightly. It just felt like that.
Yeah, and I just feel like this is the right time. I think it's a combination of I don't think he truly wants to be here. I don't think we could trust that even if he says today he wants to be here, that he will want to be here tomorrow. And I look at where the team is going and how he said it, in that media session where he said, unless they subtract, they're going to have to make tough decisions. And I look at all the defensive players over the next 2 years. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Moro Jomo, who now suddenly is going to become a guy that can make a lot of money. Nakobe Dean, and we'll see where that goes, but Jalen Phillips, Jalix Hunt. All these guys, Nolan Smith, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, I can go on all day. They all are going to need new contracts within the next 2 years. So I just keep looking at this as a money thing. Where is that money coming from? And I know there's a lot of people out there, Kyle included, who say, I'm not taking a $43 million cap hit right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's another thing. It's like the money hit.
It is. But I'll say this. The money hit is now, right? So if they do it, Hugh, it hurts this year, but it frees up the money next year. So a year from now, which is really when these contracts are going to hit the books, right? The Carter extension, the Davis extension, they're all going to start being more expensive in 27, 28, 29. AJ's money would be gone. I think it's the right time. I think it's the right time for the team, the player. They're all playing nice. Howie's, playing the game, but I think he's gone. My gut feeling is AJ Brown's getting traded. I don't know if it's going to be March 11th, March 13th, or June 2nd. But I don't think he's going to be on the Philadelphia Eagles next year. 215-592-9490 for your gut feeling. Will A.J. Brown be an Eagle in 2026? Kyle, what are you feeling as you've lost an ally here, Hugh Douglas?
I'm so disappointed in Hugh, and I had no idea that I was the most stubborn one on the show.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Thought by far that was going to be Hugh Douglas.
No, I am, but Kyle, you had to hear it.
I did. We just played it.
But you had.
I did hear it.
You got to feel it.
You didn't feel it. That's the problem.
So here's the difference between me and you guys. I'm not as moved by words when it comes to Howie Roseman, and especially not Nick Sirianni. This guy will say 10 different things if you give him 5 minutes to talk.
Not so much Nick.
Yeah, you can't give him the microphone on a sensitive subject.
When Howie does it, it moves the meter.
Oh, I disagree, because Howie's so good. He has mastered the art of saying nothing. Nothing. And I think the messaging has, he said it, you guys have pointed it out, the messaging hasn't changed since the beginning of the offseason, since the middle of the season, since last season, where we know that in between that time period, apparently A.J. Brown had requested a trade multiple times. You know what the Eagles didn't do? They didn't trade him. I didn't get the same feeling like when Dave Dombrowski stood up at the podium that Nick Castellanos is as good as gone. That's how I feel like everyone's reacting about how they're talking about AJ. They hear them talk and how he says nothing and everyone's like, oh my God, AJ's out of here. I don't feel that way. I feel the same way that I did months ago. and the beginning of the offseason, where I don't think that they're going to trade him just to trade him. They want something good in return. I'm not sure that there's going to be something good enough in return. There wasn't apparently in the season. I mean, we probably all have to admit and assume that they were listening to phone calls about A.J. Brown.
Well, that's where that noise was coming from in October.
Probably not so much during the season.
But they didn't get a good enough offer. It's not just like we have to dump this guy. We have to get him out of here. Like, the situation, I don't believe, is so toxic that A.J. Brown cannot possibly coexist on this team for another season. So I don't think, like, the Eagles are actively shopping him. I do believe they'll listen to offers. I don't think one's coming through the door. And I think the Eagles ultimately will decide, and smartly, that it's better to just have AJ on the roster next year.
So I
hope so, but I don't feel that.
Yeah, my gut feeling is he's gone. And I understand the point about the trade deadline last year. I think there's a little bit of a big difference, or actually a big difference from the trade deadline, Hugh, to now. If they moved him at the trade deadline, right? Because he wasn't happy during the season, all that janky rando nonsense, right? Requested trades. Hugh, if they moved him during the season, they didn't have a replacement ready, right?
I agree.
They were trying to repeat as champions. At one point, they were 8-2. I mean,
and he was an integral part at one point where he was supposed to be of the offense. So, yeah, there's that.
So, if they had traded him in the season, it would have hurt their roster, right? There's no way to get a player to replace AJ in the middle of a season. Now they have the entire offseason. I don't know if that would be.
And you got the draft coming up.
Exactly. So, if they trade him next week, you know what we're going to be talking about for the next 6 weeks. The wide receivers they could get in the first round of the NFL draft, which, by my count, the last five or so years, there's good player after good player just falling out of trees coming in the NFL that could play wide receiver. These guys come in the league and produce. So I think there'd be a way they could do that. And yes, they're going to want a good offer, but I also think you got to look at all the things, like the money, the timeline. Also, Hugh, that's a new offense. And do they want to give Sean... I don't know if they want to give Sean Mannion this situation and say, Sean, you make this work. They might want to say, clean slate. Here's a first-round rookie receiver, Sean. You got this guy. You got Devontae Smith. Go build your offense. It all plays in. 215-592-9494. Where do you